Hi, everyone. I am very happy to announce our speaker for the day. It's Alex Bell. He's the managing director and founder of Madison Wells Executive Search. He has over 20 years of experience in executive recruiting, and he specializes in research insights and advanced analytics across industries like our ICN members. A big thank you to Alex for sharing his passion for helping people secure career opportunities. And without further ado, Alex, if you want to share your screen, we're ready for you.
Yeah, thank you, Melody. Thank you for that introduction. And it's great to, I mean, everybody's doing the right thing by joining this network. Networking is kind of the secret sauce when you find yourself, in some cases, unexpectedly on the market. And I want to thank Melanie for inviting me to present to you guys because she was kind saying 20 years. I've actually been doing this for 24 years. I started my recruiting career on the corner of Madison and Wells in March of 2000. And when we go through corrective cycles like this, I tend to get inundated with candidate inquiries. And in a lot of cases, I find myself on phone calls with executives that at any level, whether it's junior or the most senior level, I think a lot of times they struggle with where to begin. Resume build is a challenge for them. Networking is a challenge. I think some people are kind of uncomfortable going to their network. They're not really sure how to even approach some of the stakeholders in their industry. And I network for a living. I literally, as Melanie alluded to, the heads of, chiefs of, senior executives that are leading these insight COEs for some of the world's most recognized brands and market research suppliers supporting those brands. I network with those founders, the owners, and senior stakeholders within talent acquisition and HR. So I know what these guys are looking for, the challenges they're facing this year, types of resumes that they respond to, and interviews that play well in those audiences. So my hope is I can give you guys a perspective today, and AI plays a role in this too. But I want you to walk away, hopefully, with this resume build. And I really emphasize market maps and maybe some tools on how to network. So the first order of business, I think, is just pulse on the market. I have to say, like, um, you know, since March of 20, this has just been a roller coaster. And I don't know if anybody really can make sense of this market. But I would say at this time last year, we come out every year with an annual compensation survey. And if anybody's interested in that, you can access that on our website. I think Melanie might have a link to that as well. But I always go on a listening tour during the first quarter when we're gathering that data, and I network with founders and owners of these market research suppliers just to check their pulse. In 23, everybody was bracing for that recession to slam ashore. And I think in the market research industry, it really started in the summer and fall of 22. People were looking at those marketing budgets, wondering what kind of impact that was going to have on the industry. And I think last year we saw a lot of our clients going through reductions in force, some layoffs. In some cases, they were kind of steady. I think they were burned in 21 and 22 coming out of the pandemic, where everybody went to the talent trough at the same time. I look at it almost like a V correction, but again, you can't really make sense of this market from my desk. But last year, it kind of felt like the industry was sort of in the slow descent into that V. And I think by summer last year, fall, people were thinking that there was some optimism, cautious optimism, and that they might make up some ground in the back half of last year. And I'm not sure for a lot of people that materialized. We started to see more rifts in the first quarter of this year, reductions in force. But it seems like we reached an inflection point back half of February into March. And I attended the Quirks in Chicago. And in a lot of that networking, there's this kind of cautious optimism. Everybody's very excited about AI. Synthetic data is a controversial point. But the opportunities that AI can present for the market research industry and unlock more strategic opportunities for researchers is exciting. But inflation, AI dollars rotating out of marketing, it's just creating this really interesting mix. And as a result, you're seeing some of your colleagues and some of you, in fact, caught up in these reductions in force. But, I want to tell you, in all the years that I've done this, there is opportunity in this market. It's not an easy market. But if you lean on each other, if you network, if you know how to position your candidacy, you can uncover opportunity. This is what we do for a living. We're uncovering opportunity for some of our candidates that we're showcasing, so it can be done. So the way to think about this, I think, is the first order of business for all of you, if you're just starting a search, is you have to have a resume that is digestible and something that you believe in, that you can take with confidence to the market. And I think for our rule of thumb is when we talk about focusing on your specialty skill sets and your business impact and your strategic value, a lot of times I find people on the supplier side struggle with this, less so on corporate side because it's a little bit more straightforward. But if you look at your resume, think about like the hiring authorities want to know your methodological expertise. If you're capable of pulling qualitative and quantitative levers, don't be a jack of all trades, but zero in on that portable expertise. Think about also, are you a practitioner? Are you passionate about uncovering those aha moments and storytelling those findings? Do you enjoy mentorship? Are you a thought leader? How many direct reports do you have? Like your industry experience, your management experience, your methodological expertise has to be digestible. It has to be showcased. If you're telling people that you have experience on the supplier side in consumer packaged goods, gaming, and technology, that's great, but they want to see logos. They want to connect marketing stakeholders or clients that you have serviced. That gives them an idea of the type of personality you're accustomed to servicing. It gives them an idea of how challenging perhaps those client relationships might have been and how you navigated those relationships. So my takeaway on resumes, the ones that our clients respond to and that provide confidence, inspiration to the recruiters at Madison Wells, they typically have a summary that is showcasing logos in terms of your industry experience. It's showcasing your methodological expertise and your management experience and key impacts that you've had at the brand on the corporate side or with the portfolio of logos that you managed on the supplier side of the industry. If you follow that, having a really compelling summary on the top, followed by an outline, chronological, that shows each chapter of your employment career. And if you've been with an employer for 10 years and you were just laid off, if the header is that you left as a director, but you're not showing your promotable growth, that's a missed opportunity. These markets want to see your promotable growth, these hiring authorities, I should say. And if you found yourself caught up in a riff, have references, or at least this is what I encourage our candidates to do, have references tucked into your header underneath your title. Obviously get an okay with that reference, but have a name, have their title, and a parenthetical note, contact information available upon request. That reference provides confidence, inspiration that you left on good terms. You might have just been caught up in a restructuring. So don't be intimidated by that. Definitely showcase that. And then of course, network. I mean, so here's the thing I would think about, like have your resume in order. And then when you think about networking, we're huge proponents on mapping your market. Map your market. If you're living in Connecticut and you're not open to relocation, if you're in Denver, you're not open to relocation and you're targeting corporate side, the corporations are calling people back to their corporate headquarters. They want them to be in close proximity. So map out those local employers, those local brands, become familiar with their career pages, and then think about key people of influence, key stakeholders that are embedded with those brands. And the same would apply to the suppliers. Suppliers are much more flexible, but think about any of the key opinion thought leaders that are embedded with some of the suppliers or executive grade, director grade, VP grades, and connect those names and titles with your network. If you have people that can speak to your candidacy within those suppliers or within those corporations, that is a huge win if you can execute that. But if not, if it's up to you to make those connections, that's where networking comes into play. And I have a lot of executives in the last couple of weeks asking me like, Alex, how do I even approach the head of insights at Nike or an SVP at a MarketCast or a Kantar that, just went through a restructuring or a RIF? And I always tell them, from a Madison Wells desk, from our perspective, when we see suppliers that go through a downsize or a RIF, we lean into those firms because we know that they're asking their staff to do more with less. And that means that they have to find a different skill set, a different person. So these suppliers, based on our conversations right now, they've been operating through much of 23 and this year in this environment of doing more with less, but that can create opportunity for you if you're a job seeker, because you can avail yourself on a contract basis and a contract can lead temp to perm. So that's something to really think about. And I think from our side, what we're seeing in this, like even on our survey, we had about 700 respondents this year. 6 out of 10 are looking to make a move or are available for interviews. That's really telling, because I think a lot of people were too busy at the mid to senior levels, especially in 21 and 22, to even consider about making a move. And last year they were operating with the mindset of, I'm not sure where the market's headed, but I'm better with the devil I know than the devil I don't. That's creating a lot of pressure where, as this market starts to loosen up, hopefully before end of this year, certainly into 25, you're going to see a lot of movement in this industry. It's going to create a lot of opportunity for you. So if you're networking in a really thoughtful way, and you're planting seeds, you'll be in a position to take advantage of opportunity as it develops. And I'm going to be running out of time, so I'll just give you a quick example of networking. When I showcase senior executives, it might sound, if I were to go to Melanie with an executive that I think could help her organization, I would say, Melanie, perhaps we've spoken before, or this is my first reach out to you, but I've got a candidate that I think might be a person for your organization based on the people that I've talked to in the industry. They're excited about this candidate, and I believe this candidate represents an impact hire. If you've got a couple of minutes, I'd love to showcase their background and just see if it makes sense to make an introduction. And if not, that's okay too. And once I make that introduction, it's not transactional. I'm not assuming anything with Melanie. I'm just looking to see if I'm qualifying a conversation. The objective is not to get a job. It's just to get to that first conversation. I'll skip over this because I think I might be running out of time. Although I think here's something to take away from this for all of you. When you build your resume, when you network, when you think about this market, hiring authorities, this is our 10-point matrix scoring system at Madison Wells. Hiring authorities are paying attention to your industry experience, your technical expertise, your leadership skills, personality, cultural fit, and values will be borne out on that interview journey. But your motivating factors, your retention, your chapters, how you showcase those chapters, your motivating factors for going from one company to another, they're paying attention to those competitive threads. So if you keep these 10 points in mind as you build your resume and you network and you're positioning yourself as a talent solution, this is what resonates with the hiring authorities. This is what they're paying attention to. And I think I've touched on a lot of this. So here's Brian, I don't want to disappoint you, Brian. I'm not an expert in AI, but I will tell you this. AI is a great tool for candidates in this market when you're trying to advance from a blank canvas to a resume, but be careful, use it judiciously. If you can personalize any job, any stakeholder that you might be trying to connect with, you can tuck in a job description into ChatGPT 4, for example, and it can start to create a resume for you. You just want to make sure that you tailor that to your story. Don't be lazy with that, because our clients, our hiring authorities right now, they're getting inundated with applicants. Their applicant funnels are completely overrun. And a lot of the resumes and cover letters that they're seeing are starting to sound the same. It almost sounds like AI generated. So you have to be hyper-personal. It helps you get from a blank canvas to a resume, but just be careful. Don't overdo that. And I would also say, with those applicant funnels, there's easy apply on LinkedIn, what have you. I can't emphasize this enough. If you're spending your day filling out online applications, I do think that potentially is a wasted exercise. These are human beings that have hiring needs. If you can leverage your network and somebody can carry you in, or you can make a personal connection, that's going to elevate your candidacy. And if you position yourself in this market as a talent solution, you're looking for a job, yes, but if you think about the impact that you've had on your organization, and many of you are very effective storytellers, look at your sweat equity, all these previous chapters that you bring to the table, as an opportunity to tell a story about how you can make an impact. That will resonate with these hiring authorities and elevate your candidacy and separate you from the competition. And I guess I'll just end with this. On this slide, we talk about a cheat code of self-awareness, empathy, and impact questions. Whenever I'm preparing candidates for interviews on our side, I always tell them, if you have a clean resume, if your story is straight, if you just think about where you've been and where you're headed in your career, why you're pursuing this opportunity, your interpretation of the role and how you can make an impact, that self-awareness, if you have a blind spot and you don't hide from it, it resonates with these hiring authorities. They're human beings. Some of them have been caught up in rifts as well. They have empathy. And if you have empathy for them, if you recognize that they might be inundated by applicants and they're looking for that one talent solution, and you don't make them work for it, it's easy for them to digest your resume and your interpretation of the opportunity. And you ask impact questions to them. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now in this market? How are you guys leveraging AI in your organization? What are your thoughts about synthetic data or what have you, whatever it might be? If you have that awareness, if you have empathy, another great impact question is when you look at my candidacy, what's your biggest concern? And you can address that in living color on the interview. I think if you take some of these tools to the market, hopefully you'll start to unlock opportunity. And if you're hitting a wall, if you need some confidence, inspiration, definitely get in touch with us at Madison Wells. We're a ready sounding board and hopefully a link to opportunity for you as well.